Today we're going to be exploring some of the joys of hamstrings, so bear with us as we dive into hamstrings. We're going to begin on our back in constructive rest posture, so find your way onto your back. We're going to be using 2 blocks, a strap, and a chair today. So if you want to organize your props, we're also doing some things on the knees. So if you want to have something to support your knees, grab a towel or a blanket, if that would be helpful. And then we come to constructive rest. So our feet stand on the mat, the knees are bent, and the hands rest a little bit on the side or palms up or even palms down, depending on what feels best for your shoulders today. And settle into the breath. Allowing everything that came before to just evaporate. The to-do list, the activities, whatever was happening before you found your way onto the mat. Let the jaw be soft. Observe how the feet connect with the floor. Notice how the pelvis rests on the floor. Bringing the attention up the spine, notice the point at which the vertebrae of the spine actually begin to make contact with the floor. Notice the shoulder blades, how the arms feel from the delts, from the top of the shoulders all the way down to the fingertips. Imagine softening the inside area of the eyes and the outside area of the eyes, the outside edge. And imagine softening around the ears, as well as the jaw. And now gently begin to allow your body to prepare to move. We breathe in and out. And on the next out breath, we're going to draw that left leg in toward the heart. We're going to give ourselves a nice hug here. So the knees coming up somewhere near the outer edge of the rib cage, probably. Then we're going to slide that right foot long. Both feet are active here, so we've got our feet flexed. And now we're going to take the right leg and scoot it a little bit to the left side as we draw that left knee closer to the belly button. So a nice stretch and a good morning to the legs. Keep the feet active here, pressing through the heels. One more breath. And then slowly bring that right leg back to its length straight out of the hip joint, and let that left leg come a little closer to the outside edge of the ribs. We're going to be holding on behind the legs, so maybe the meaty part of the hamstrings. You can use a strap here if that's better. Now we're going to extend this leg toward the sky. We've got a flexed foot. Make it a slow extension, pausing when the body tightens, then bend the knees again. So we're doing a slow extension to the sky. Keep the knee as soft as you need to make the extension available to the body. So it's not about cramming the heel all the way to the sky. We're just going up and down here a couple more times. Keep the breath moving. And the next time we're on our way down, we're going to slowly lower that foot to the floor, make it a slow release. We're going to slide that right foot up. We're going to pause here and observe the right and the left side of the body. We're moving now to the right leg, drawing in toward the heart. Bring it on up. Definitely hold behind the leg. We're going to slide that left leg long. Both feet are flexed. They're very, very busy feet. Active legs. Now slowly begin to walk that left leg over to the right side and draw the right leg closer to the belly button, to the center line. Keep the feet active as we breathe here. Keep that breath moving. A couple more breaths. And then slowly we're going to scoot that left leg back so it's elongated straight out of the hip. The right leg comes closer to the outer edge of the rib cage as we extend to the sky. The right leg, any amount, bending the knee, keeping the knee soft as long as needed to wake up the hamstrings. So we're just going up and down here. It's a slow, gentle extension. A couple more breaths here. And then we're slowly going to lower this foot to the floor. And we slide that left foot up to meet it. We're back in constructive rest. We breathe here. And now we're going to float the arms out to T. So the arms are extended out. We draw the feet together. We draw the knees together. We're going to do a spinal twist here. So we're going to take the knees first to the left side. Keep the instep stacked as we draw ourselves into this twist. And notice whether or not you want to look at the ceiling. Would the head feel better turned to the right or turned to the left? Explore that. Do it slowly and find the direction that your head would like to turn. We're going to be here for a few more breaths. And then slowly, we're going to keep the knees together. We're going to keep the feet together. We're going to roll back to center. Pause. Maybe scoot the hips just a little bit to the left as we take a tip to the right. Stacked instep, stacked knees. Explore the neck. Does it feel better to look at the ceiling, to look to the left, or to look to the right? You decide. We'll be here for several breaths. Couple more breaths here. And now we're slowly going to roll back to center. When we come back to center, we pause, press the low back into the mat, draw both knees in to the heart, and then rock gently right and left. And now we're rolling to one side. We're going to press ourselves up to seated. We're going to be in a seat for a little while. So if it feels better to support yourself by tucking the rolled up mat underneath the pelvis, that would be appropriate. We're going to draw the left leg in. So maybe it comes to the thigh, maybe it comes to the knee, or even down toward the ankle. It doesn't matter. We've got one leg is straight. So we've got that right leg long and straight. We're going to flex the foot, but instead of folding directly over this long leg, we're going to fold to the center of the angle between the knee and the toe of the left leg. So we're going to fold this way, bring the hands to the mat, and then maybe walk out just a little bit. We're going to notice, keep this foot flexed, we're going to notice deep action probably in the hip, in all of the mechanisms around that amazing design that is the glutes, the hips, and the hamstrings. So if we pause here long enough, we're going to start to feel around the sits bones. That's where the hamstrings plug in. We're probably going to start feeling a little bit of warmth there. Again, we control how deep the stretch is. It's not about getting any distance at all. It's about honoring the stretch in a way that is not painful, that there can be ease here as the body softens. So last month, we worked a lot on different aspects of making down dog easy. One of the most often noted challenges has been hamstrings. So we're back to hamstrings. And that affects the low back. The hamstring affects the low back. And so we're finding some room in our hamstrings. Now, walking the hands back up, we were there for a little bit of time, weren't we? We're going to extend that left leg, bounce it out, shake both legs. So now we're going to keep the left leg long, and we're going to tuck the right foot in somewhere on the inside of the left leg. Again, not folding over the long leg. We're going to find the vector between the toe and the right knee. And we're going to split the difference and we're going to hinge that direction. So the hands come to the mat first. And then maybe slowly beginning that little crawl with the fingertips away from the bent knee. Again, we're pausing if we feel any tightness anywhere in the hip, the glutes, or the hamstrings. And as the body begins to soften, because we're breathing, as the body begins to soften, maybe we gain another inch with our fingertips. There's no rush here, and there's no destination. Breathing. We're doing several breaths here. And then we're slowly going to walk our hands back, back, back. Extend the leg. Bounce the legs out. We're going to come into an attenuated, a shorter version of dragonfly. So we're just going to take our feet, our legs long, as wide as our mat. Bend the knees as needed for this stretch to be easier and more comfortable. And maybe lift the little fleshy bits off the sits bones. We're going to keep active legs. And to do that, we're going to draw the kneecaps up into the quadriceps. So the kneecaps draw up into the thigh muscles, and that helps lengthen the hamstrings. Yay! We're pressing our legs into the earth with our musculature. We're pressing into the earth with the calves, the heels, the thighs, the hamstring. And maybe we hinge forward just a little bit. Maybe the hands come in front of us. And again, bend the knees as needed for this posture. We're saying, hello, great good morning to the hamstrings. Keep the legs active. So we're keeping that downward momentum with our legs into the earth. And then slowly walking back up. Reach underneath the inside of one knee and draw it in. The other knee, draw it in. Coming to Badakanasana. The soles of the feet touch, holding on either at the feet or the ankles or even the shins. We're going to lift our heart and hinge forward from the hip joints. One more nice breath here. Now let's close our legs like we're closing a book. We're going to come to one side and come onto hands and knees. This is where the knees, if needed, will have a little support with an extra length of towel or mat. We want to have our knees about 2 fist widths apart. We're going to do we're doing a cat-cow sequence now. So we're going to begin here. We've got our fingers as wide as they'll go. We've plugged in the fingertips. We've plugged in the ball mounds of where the fingers meet the hand. We're a little bit ahead of the shoulders. The wrist creases are facing the top of the mat. We're going to press into the top of our feet, press into the hands as we lift the space between the shoulder blades. So pushing into the hands, pushing into the knees, pushing into the tops of the feet, and seeing if we can create a nice arch in the upper back. Breathe here. And then slowly releasing that, we're going to come to a cow. So we're rolling forward. So we're moving a little upward on the kneecaps. We're extending through the upper back. Lift the head. And see if we can find length in our spine here. Breathing. And then we're going to settle a little bit back toward child's pose. So when we come into child's pose, we're scooting the hips back toward the heels any amount. Maybe you're one of those people that can sit the heels back, the hips back on the heels. If you discover that the head doesn't rest on the floor, you can bring a block or stack your fists to support the head. That gives the neck some spaciousness. It's also an indication that the hamstrings might be tight if the head doesn't land on the floor, the forehead. We're going to come back up now. I'm going to change angles here. We're going to be on hands and knees still. We're going to press through, start with the left leg. We're going to press that leg long. We're extending the leg. Nope, got to do it this way. We're extending the leg. We're making it nice, strong, long, pressing through the heel. We're going to lift that leg about hip height. And then we're going to swing it over to the other side. 5 toes turned under. We're going to turn our tummy up and extend to the sky, opening the front of the body. That hand returns. The leg comes back. We come to hands and knees. Pause here. And now we switch legs. The other leg goes long. We're pressing through the heel. A nice, super nice stretch here. We're going to take this leg all the way across now to the other side. We're going to bring the weight to bear as we lift our other hand, opening the front of the body, finding a nice stretch maybe in the hip flexor here. And then we come back, hand to mat, foot comes back, press into child's pose. Coming back up onto hands and knees. We're going to be bringing our left knee toward our nose and then extend it back hip height. Bring it in toward the nose, knee to nose. Extend back hip height. Knee to nose. And extend And then that foot comes back, the knee back to the mat, switch sides, extend, knee to nose, extend, knee to nose, and extend, knee to nose. Back to neutral. Take a moment to grab a couple blocks if they're not nearby. We're going to bring blocks to play. We're going to bring the left foot forward. So bring that foot forward, bringing it up toward the left corner of the mat. We're going to hinge forward. So we're going to bring the blocks to the inside of the foot. We're coming into a low lunge here. So this is a deep stretch. For some people, the forearms can come to the mat. The hands can come to the mat. The forearms can come to the mat. This is a low lunge, but it's also called lizard. Breathe here. We're going to sweep that left foot back, come onto the knees. Blocks are coming to the right side, the left side now, and the right foot comes forward. Oh, scoot that foot up to the upper corner of the mat. We're coming into a nice, long, low lunge. Couple more breaths here. And then we're going to put those blocks to the side. We're going to sweep that foot back. We're going to bring our hands in front of the shoulders. Nice width of hands. Allow the elbow creases to turn toward the front of the mat. That externally rotates the shoulders to keep the shoulders happy. We're going to turn the toes under and we're coming into a bent knee down dog. So keep the knees bent. And then slowly lift the sits bones and then bend the knees again. Going up and down a few times. And now let's bring our hands and feet together, coming into the bottom of a forward fold. Bend the knees as needed to arrive in a forward fold. Then we sweep the arms open and we come to standing, coming to mountain. Pausing here, finding breath. Draw the knees up into the quadriceps. Let the jaw be soft. Let the inner and outer eye be soft. Let the ears be soft. Releasing the hands. Draw the shoulder blades together. The heart lifts, the hands interlace behind the pelvis. We come into a slight back bend. And then we come back to neutral. We're going to grab our chair now. And we're going to set it a little bit off to the right. We're going to step forward with the left leg, and we're going to step back with the right. And we're going to turn that back foot to about a 45-degree angle. We're going to keep the front leg straight as we hinge to the chair. So take it slow. For most everybody, their hands will be at ease getting to the chair. Maybe you'd like a little more. This is a hamstring stretch, right? So you can always come onto your forearm. If the hamstrings are super tight, flip the chair around and rest on the upper edge of the chair. We're going to be here for several breath cycles. So we did this on the floor, a version of this on the floor, where we had one leg bent, touching the inside of the opposite long leg. So now we're diving in again to find a little more strengthening in the hamstring. Now keep those kneecaps actively pulling into the thigh muscle, up into the quadricep. And to come out of this, we're going to bend the knees. Both knees soften, slightly bend. We're going to pivot on the back foot. It's coming parallel to the front foot. We're going to step up, come to standing. Pause for a moment, noticing the left and the right. And now we're going to take it to the other side. So the chair moves. Now to the left side. We're going to have that right foot forward and the left leg is back. So this is turned out, that foot's turned out. We're going to hinge toward the chair, any amount. So the chair is about where we're landing is if you take one toe and the other toe, you see the vector. We're right in the center of the vector there. We're pausing. We're breathing. We're lifting the kneecaps into the quadriceps. So our hands can be resting on the chair or the forearms. Of course, if people feel super available for this posture, the hands can always come to the floor. But I just recommend chair for ease and safety, because sometimes we think we can do something and what we could do yesterday isn't available today. So being very cautious here, because this is a deep exploration into tight areas in the legs. Breathing. One more big, beautiful breath here. And then the hands are going to come onto the chair, softness in the knees, pivot on the back foot, step up. Folding forward now. So we take a forward fold and we slide our hands down our legs and maybe notice how much more length or availability we have in our hamstrings. Coming back to standing. We're going to walk to the front of the mat. Sweep the arms up. On the out breath, we fold, touch the floor, bend the knees as needed. The in breath is a half lift to the shins, flat back. The out breath takes our hands to the floor. We step or hop back into downward facing dog. While we're here, we can walk the dog, bending one knee, then the other. Or if you feel so inclined, we can extend one leg. Three-legged dog. Release that foot, extend the other foot. You're at choice. You can extend or bend the knees. We're going to bring both feet back to the mat. If they're not already there, pause again. Let the head shake yes and no. Sits bones lift. One more big breath. Then slowly lower to the floor, coming back into constructive rest posture. So take your time getting here. Wow, it really does look like winter out there, doesn't it? We're going to be grabbing a strap here. Before we do that, we're going to pause in constructive rest. Notice how the feet feel now on the floor. Notice the pelvis as it rests on the floor. Traveling up the spine, noticing when the vertebrae actually make contact with the floor. Noticing the shoulder blades. And then noticing the arms and the hands. And how do the hands rest now? Did anything change there? Now let's take the strap. We'll close our practice today with Badakanasana. That is hand to big toe stretch, but we're going to use the strap. So take that strap. Let's take it over the arch of the foot today. We want the leg to be nice and long and strong. So if needs be, we don't want to cram too much information into the hamstrings, asking them to do things that aren't available. So maybe that long leg is at more of an angle, a lesser angle than a right angle. I'm talking geometry. We're finding a place that feels really settled now. Once we're here, maybe we can slide our hands down so the elbows rest on the floor. The foot is flexed. Elbows on the floor works best if you have long enough strap. If you don't, no worries. Now, what would it be like to extend that other leg? Does that feel easy? If it does, do that. Otherwise, keep that knee bent and the foot standing on the mat. Both feet are flexed. So if you're standing on the mat, your foot's naturally flexed. If your leg's extended, some attention needs to be paid to keeping the toes coming back toward the knees. We're settling in here for several breaths. Relaxing everything that can be relaxed. Noticing if the jaw is trying to help or the edges of the eyes. come out of this, we're going to bend the leg that's headed toward the ceiling. We slide the other foot up into the strap. Release the other foot to the floor. Find the right position here. Flexed foot. Where can we be without a big bend in the knee? Being clear with ourselves about what feels good. Looking for a feel-good posture here. Flexed foot, maybe extending the opposite foot and flexing that leg, flexing that foot. That might feel good. Or you might notice one side it feels good to do that, the other side it doesn't. We don't have to make it symmetrical. We're here for several breaths, and if we can slide down, resting the elbows on the floor so the shoulders relax down, we'll do that. A few more breaths here. So to come out of this, we're going to bend the knee that's of the leg that's in the strap. The other foot's going to slide up. We're coming back to constructive rest. Set the strap aside. Press into the low back. Draw both knees in. Take them as wide as the torso or wider, and rock gently right and left. And maybe hold either behind the knees or on widespread soles of the feet. And then we come back to the mat. And we settle here in our Shavasana. So find your final resting posture, and we'll be here for a few minutes. The thought for today is an Australian Aboriginal proverb. We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose here is to observe, to learn, to grow, to love. And then we return home. Gently bringing breath into the fingers and the toes. And drawing the feet to standing on the mat, knees bent, if they're not already there. Gently roll to one side, gather 3 big, beautiful breaths. And then gently find your way to seated. We open our arms wide. We gather all the blessings that already exist and draw them in appreciation and gratitude into our hearts. And together we all say, Namaste.